So in my travels throughout the tattoo industry, I have discovered a unicorn. What I mean by that is, as we're navigating all these new federal laws, specifically what's going to affect tattoo product, everything that can be sprinkled, sprayed, applied, or rubbed on for the purpose of beautification, I've engaged with doctors and different medical practitioners from all the fields, surgeons, all such. But the one discipline I couldn't find was a dermatologist until now. So I'm sitting here with Dr. Tyler, Dr. V, and the owner, founder, scientist, the originator of InkMD, a dermatologist-approved tattoo product, which we'll get into in a minute. And I've been able to steal him away for a little bit to talk about his origin story and about his product. So, Tyler, tell us, why do you like tattoos and how did you get into it?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, the pleasure is all mine. It's an honor to be able to sit here and talk with you. So, a couple of years ago, it was shortly after I graduated residency, I really loved the idea of the mandala kind of geometric design tattoos. I thought it was super cool, just the design of them, the interlacing shapes, the patterns, the numerics that really go into that kind of geometry. I thought it was really neat, and I found an artist that I really liked that did that style, and I kind of rolled around in my head for a while, am I gonna potentially not get patients, or are patients gonna see me and not want to be my patient because I'm tattooing? And I thought, this day and age, they're getting so popular, so much especially in the Denver metro area. I thought, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my first tattoo. I didn't start small. This was my first one. I pulled the trigger on it. And I will tell you that in 6 years of clinical practice, I have had exactly 0 patients not want to see me because I'm their tattooed dermatologist. Right. Some of them look a little taken aback when I walk in the room. They're like, this is my derm, which is fine. But then, it's my job to be like, hey, yeah, I'm your dermatologist. Let's, fix whatever issue you're here for, or a skin cancer screening, whatever that is. I've also had a lot of patients in the last couple of years. I'm like, oh, a dermatologist is tattooed. Let me fire a bunch of questions about tattoo care. It kind of led me to start looking into what's on the market. What's really medically credible, designed for tattoos, that has actual scientific backing.
Yeah.
And I saw this void. There really wasn't much that I found that had that credibility that I thought the industry, the art, and the culture really deserve.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I couldn't find it elsewhere, I thought, well, maybe this is an opportunity for me to do something different. If I'm going to be the tattooed dermatologist and stick out like a sore thumb at every derm convention,
I bet
maybe I can use that to expand on some principles. Basically, use it to help clients advance the understanding of skin medicine and bridge 2 worlds that have really never before been put together. I still can't figure out why.
Well, that was what I was going to say is why is there such a lack of tattooed dermatologists,
I don't have a good answer. I don't know. I would say culturally, dermatologists usually fit a pretty specific bill.
They're not as cool.
No. They're actually really cool. No. A lot of them are cool. I'm the uncool one. No, but I don't know. I don't know what the hang up has been. I think it's probably a little professional caution, I don't want to stand out too awful much. And so I'm sure there are dermatologists that have tattoos. You just don't see out.
Sure.
I mean, they're the kind of tattoos that can be covered up, and to each their own. That's great. But I think that there has been that reservation just for whatever reason. Maybe it's a little bit of lingering stereotype, or
maybe the dermatologist would see more of the problems with tattoos so much as the benefits. Because I think you said at one point, you want a client to take care of their tattoo well, and so they don't have to come see you.
Right. Sure, but let me challenge you on that a little bit, right? If I have a patient that comes in that smokes 2 packs of Marlboro Reds a day, goes to the tanning bed 4 times a week, I wouldn't treat that person any differently than somebody who eats clean, exercises twice a day, and runs marathons of a Loveland. my job is not to judge people for how they treat themselves. There's really no evidence that tattooing causes any long-term skin problems. Now, there could obviously be complications.
Sure.
It can make surveillance of skin cancer sometimes difficult.
Yeah.
But, aside from some really rare things that could potentially be problematic systemically, we see a lot more problems with tanning.
Yeah.
I mean, even not wearing sunscreen out here in Colorado or New Mexico or, anywhere, any of these sunny states, the job's not to judge, the job's to do the job.
Well, that's good to know. And I mean, yeah, completely right. I mean, factually, right, there's no strong evidence that tattooing, tattoo pigments, or tattoo products are systemically hurting people.
Correct.
Of course, there's situations whether that particular client didn't take care of the tattoo well, or maybe the tattoo process went a little too aggressively. There's those subjective issues. Sure. Overarching, right, tattoos aren't like dermatologists are all sitting there on the front line dealing with, problems with it. So it seems to be more of something that's just cultural in that sense, right?
I think so too, because I mean, if we started judging people for getting tattoos and saying, oh, okay, you could potentially do that, then I would have to do the same thing. Like, oh, you went to Bath and Body Works. Like, do you know how many contact allergens you just came in touch with? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all kind of a spectrum. And when it really comes down to it, I think, tattooing is such an interesting and beautiful, I argue the most intimate form of art.
Yeah.
I won't say consequence-free because there's always consequences to any action. And part of my job at work has been mitigating those and helping to correct them. But, done right, it's a very safe practice.
Yes. I mean, I'm a bit biased, but I'll agree. Well, so going right into that and kind of discovering, the world of dermatology, tattoos, and bringing products to improve it, dermatologists may see some issues from a subjective problem. Maybe the tattoo got too much, you got an infection from some sort of subjective issue. But then now there wasn't like a really great way for them to navigate these with the current products we had in place, right? The current stuff we had was, so-so, right? Nothing that was really, a dermatologist stood behind it and said, this is the product I recommend. And so that's where you're kind of trying to step in and kind of bring that, that validation to not just tattooing, but that there's products specifically that could be, something that a dermatologist would go like, I like that.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with that.
Yeah. And, it's not just the products. It's not just the InkMD products. It's the principles that go into it. I mean, there's easily 120 years of data that goes into the whole idea of that semi-permeable, semi-occlusive ointment base. Like, what does that mean? That means oxygen and water can traverse that membrane. Aquaphor kind of coined it. We took it a couple steps further, but the principles are really there. And I don't think that at this point they're even arguable. I mean, this is evidence-based. These are hundreds of thousands of patient years across multiple universities around the world. We know what works. I just took those principles and said, all right, let's adapt the formulas, create a product line that really boasts them, have a third party test that, and apply, our slogan, apply science to the art.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you say product line, tell me, like there's specific stages and products per stage that you have?
Yeah, so the InkMD products come in a kit. Within each kit, there's 4 products. There's a product to prepare the skin before the tattoo session, hydrates it, has a little local, I don't say numbing, but a cooling effect. It's menthol, non-toxic, plant-based. There is a cleanser, gentle mechanical debridement cleansing. That's what we usually recommend with any kind of wound care. There's that semi-permeable, semi-occlusive ointment. That's the third of the 4 products. That one also has plant-based stem cells that help the whole re-epithelialization process, the process where the epidermis is closing in on that wound and trapping the ink in. And then a sunscreen that's notable for really what it doesn't have in it, and that's titanium or zinc dioxide. I think I mentioned earlier at the talk that when you use a titanium or zinc dioxide product on a fresh tattoo, those molecules can get into the skin heals over it, tattooing white on top of whatever you had.
Yeah.
That's a really hard problem to fix. I've seen it in the clinic. These are things that people don't always think about. So I put the products together in a kit, basically saying, here's everything that you need. You got your prep, your cleanse, your protect, and your block out.
Yeah.
And sort of look, one of those ideas that the four of them are, in that way, I would argue, greater than the sum of their parts.
So good. I'm sorry, was that part?
Greater than the sum of their parts. It's like you got everything right there that works synergistically.
I got you. From the very beginning all the way to the end, they work well together. So
No.
no, I mean, in the world of tattoo products, and I'm sure, like you said, you did some research. You were looking out there in the world and seeing what was out there. It's like, good luck picking through all the different products that are out there, right? And really trying to identify which one is the best, because you could even navigate issues with, you may not know exactly what's in there that could potentially be allergic to, right? Or there's products out there that the manufacturer is going to, of course, say is top notch, is the greatest stuff out there, but do they have the validation of an incredible source, right? And then, as well as, are they going through the same processes of third-party testing and ensuring that the product should be safe? So I mean, it sounds like you're providing something that can really take a lot of that guesswork out and really assuage a lot of those concerns that some of these people are navigating.
I set a benchmark that was, I thought, almost unachievable. And not unachievable, but I set a benchmark that really hasn't been set in the industry before, especially with that third-party testing. Say, hey, like, let's work with a compounding chemist. Let's work with a top-notch US-based manufacturer. Let's really get these things honed in. I mean, lots of different versions, lots of mail packages back and forth, trying things out. No, don't like it. Let's do this. Let's change the viscosity. And then once we settle on something, let me fork over some money, send it out to this third-party testing. They send it out, and when the report came back, I breathed a big sigh of relief.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a process. It was painstaking. But I think in order to really make a difference in any industry, no matter what you're doing, creating the Tesla or Yeti coolers or what have you, to really set the new benchmark, I think you need to set your own benchmark first.
Right. We're a trailblazer, and I think it's perfect timing, because for those of you, or those who have been watching the content, recognize, like I said, the travels through navigating regulation. We're a big billion-dollar industry now.
Sure.
Millions and billions of people are collecting tattoos, and our products are becoming heavily scrutinized. And to be able to have a front runner who's able to set that benchmark and say, hey, this is what is acceptable by the medical community.
Mm-hmm.
This gives a lot of credibility to us when it comes to the products, when it comes to the regulatory side of it.
Correct. And I mean, I really think, if you look at the history of medicine in general, scrutiny is a double-edged sword, but it could be a good thing. We scrutinized the Tuskegee Airmen experiments because that was a really dark chapter in American medical history. Nobody's proud of that. That was awful. It got a lot of scrutiny, as it should. So I think scrutiny is good, but one of the things I really appreciate about you and the APT movement is, let's have both sides have a balanced conversation. Scrutiny, checks and balances, keeping everything that makes sense to the extent possible. And if whatever role I can have in that, I'm happy to confirm that.
I appreciate you saying that, because for those who don't know, you've been at a pigment committee. Using your credibility as a dermatologist is truly a wealth of knowledge, a resource that we can rely on as we start to work on those checks and balances. Because what we're getting at is, you're right, the FDA is stepping in, and there's nothing wrong with appropriate regulations, right? We want to ensure that the products we're using are safe, but also we want to make sure that they're not, investigating with a hammer, right?
Yes.
They want to come at it calm, collected, and get proper data. And through your participation with the APT, you can help provide some of that sound data on the dermatology side,
Mm-hmm.
that we can then bring to this conversation with FDA to, again, create regulations that make sense and provide a safe, successful future moving forward when it comes to navigating those regulations.
I agree 100%. I also like the fact that we've got sort of a multidisciplinary team there, right? Like, it's not just oh, we got a doctor, so we're good. It's like, okay, we're taking people from institutions, a couple different institutions, if I remember right, South Dakota?
South Dakota, University of Texas, and the University of New York.
And so you've got these institutional review boards, multidisciplinary specialists across the board. I mean, it's going to take a team effort to really say, all right, here's how we're going to collect the data. Here's how we're going to analyze the data. Here's how we're going to interpret the data. You know, I'm sure at some point we'll have to get a statistician on board if we got one. Okay. I figured you was saying that. I was like, you probably already do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, use that evidence. I mean, that's really going to be, I think, fundamental in this whole, you know, process that we're getting involved in.
Yeah. I definitely think, kind of summarize that we're at the side of the times, right, is we're having a conversation about how we have biochemists and scholars and medical practitioners and FDA even coming together and having, you know, thoughtful, well-constructed conversations about protecting an ancient art form that has impacted people in so many positive ways, and that one day, you know, we're gonna look back. I don't know what period of time we'll look back and remember, we're like, oh yeah, remember that first tattooing dermatologist? You know, like, oh yeah, he was that one guy, that front runner, and now, you know, it's a common practice for dermatologists to be tattooed. So I think it would be great to give us a closing statement of something that potentially someone could look back on and say, like, I remember when he said that.
Oh boy.
How cool.
All right. Well, I know, right? All right, a closing statement.
Or just a final thought.
Yeah. All right. Well, I led with this when I gave the talk earlier, and I really stand by it. I would argue that tattooing really is the most intimate form of art, right? Like, you can go buy an expensive painting or a sculpture or something, and, you know, maybe a couple dozen people a year will see it. Tattooing is that form of art that we carry with us 24/7, 365. We tattoo images of our loved ones, of our pets, of our favorite characters. You know, there's an emotional investment there. And just as we would want to take care of any other piece of art, I think that, you know, the care that we put into our tattoos, the care that our artists put into our tattoos, the time it takes to develop the color scheme, the design, the size, the fitting, right? Like the fitting, and the skincare that goes into making sure that it heals as appropriately as possible.
Yep.
I think, again, it's that multifaceted approach. And as the most intimate form of art, I think it deserves really top-notch care.
That's cool. I love that. The top-notch care that you're able to provide to help safeguard something that is sacred and very precious to us. So thank you very much for stepping up for us and your industry and providing us with amazing product and guidance and education when it comes to protecting our industry and the FDA.
Dude, I literally have goosebumps right now. Like, I'm so proud to be here and help out with this. I think it's a really good cause. I think it's a really necessary thing to have happen.
Right.
So I'm on board.
Awesome. Well, definitely check out your website and Instagram. You want to tell us the website?
So website is InkMD, INKMD.com. And the Instagram is InkMD Skincare. And to think about that for a second. InkMD Skincare. I'm not real tech savvy. InkMD Skincare. Like, follow, I guess, tweet, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Come up in there, but thank you for everything, brother. I appreciate it.
Dude, it's a pleasure. I look forward to being on board.